he switches species so he doesn't have to talk about it. Like, welcome back to the Book Breathing Bitch Queens podcast. I'm Allie.
And I'm Sam. And this week we are finally in A Court of Mist and Fury, and we are reading the prologue and chapter 1. We start off with a nightmare, a little bit of reminder of what happened in the last book, and then chapter 1 jumps into kind of her puking her guts up and what her nightly routine looks like with Tamlin. Short, cute, sweet, not cute, but short and sweet. And then it kind of hits the ground running after that, and the chapters get longer.
Yeah. Let's talk about the cover first.
Sure.
Because I've always been fascinated by this cover because that's Feyre's engagement ring, is it not? And it's being held by a raven, which I don't think it's supposed to be Rhys's bird form. So look, it's holding a ring in its claw.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know, I don't know what makes it a raven or not.
It's definitely a bird.
And I feel like we always forget that Rhys's beast is like a bird type thing. And I assume that's what it is, but it
but it's like talons and bat wings though, so I thought it was a little more wyvern-y, to be very honest, or dragon-y. But yeah, I think I get that, like, I get the, like, using the bird for, like, the wings, though, and, like, it's a dark bird, so I get the use of it. I don't think it's supposed to be a one-to-one, but yeah, I didn't notice that it was holding her ring.
I've always just stared at that and been like, "What the fuck is that?" Because like that's one part of this book, but it makes it seem like that ring is much more important.
Yeah.
Or maybe just like it also kind of gives Rhys, if he's meant to be this bird, which the ACOTAR one is like, you know, Tamlin's kind of beast form on the front, and that gives the impression that that like that's Tamlin's book and this is Rhys's book, but I feel like
Or
I don't know. I don't think it's holding any. I don't think it's
or
anything.
ravens
Yeah.
are also a sign of, like, new beginnings and of
Mm.
wisdom.
Okay, it's actually also not Tamlin on the first book. It's the wolf with the arrow through it.
Yeah, it's Andres.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that.
I was looking at the original Court of Mist and Fury cover art.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up.
And she is definitely in some night court apparel.
That's what you think night court apparel is?
Well, I mean, she's in a black dress that has armor on it, and it's all like...
Oh, I thought these were her riding leathers. I guess that's also night court apparel.
Yeah, but it's all like open and see-through on the dress, like what she wears to the night court.
Oh, okay. I guess I don't picture the dress. The dress that she wears to the night court, I picture that differently.
So do I.
It does look like the leathers.
Yeah.
But I also picture the normal night court wear different. I picture that like Jasmine, essentially.
Yeah. But I mean, this could be like, it's kind of armory, but you can also see her skin through it. It looks like it's kind of like the bodice is sort of, it's got peakies in it. I don't know how else to say it. It's got little like openings kind of throughout, right? You see her hand with the tattoo, and then I'm assuming that you're seeing a city in the background. So
yeah. Does the back of that... No, that's... I think I was just looking at a fan book. I thought there was a huge spoiler on one of these, but no. Okay.
it's a nice little opening that looks like it could be a gate.
Where?
On the original one. Not like a gate, but like it's, it's like an opening, like a window opening, but it's an arch kind of opening, kind of has that like...
Oh, it does make you wonder.
Portal gate vibe.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm just fascinated. But yeah, let's talk about the map.
I want to talk about this map because we've got a couple of new places on the map, which is fine. We know that we have the Weaver's Cottage, which I didn't realize was like very close to Under the Mountain. And then we've got kind of the rest of we've got the rest of the night court on the map now, right? So we have the prison, we have Valaris, we have the Court of Nightmares, we have the the Illyrian steppes and the Illyrian mountains. But what caught my eye was not that. It was Valahan.
Mhm.
And I know that we get a mention of it in chapter 2.
Mm.
So I don't want to jump the gun, but I can't remember any other mention of it. I looked it up and it says that there's some more references, which makes sense. But
'Cause it's in Akawar, right? Because they kind of this is like the Queen's land. I think they talk about it a couple times.
yeah, I just don't remember
Okay.
it a whole lot. So I know that
Okay.
there's a king and a queen. I know that they sided with Hybern, and I believe that Moore keeps going back there to try to negotiate a peace treaty.
Oh, okay.
Um, but I don't remember that in the books. It's just what I looked up from the
She
information.
originally did the peace treaty, I think. I think she was a big part of the humans doing the peace treaty with the
Yes.
wall.
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't know who if that was I don't know how big Valahan plays because I don't remember it. I was just like, "Huh, that's a thing."
Yeah.
Okay. So I only have one note on the very first page and it's a writing note because I love the juxtaposition of the line. And it is I
I
was
was a butcher of innocence and the savior of a land.
yep. I was like, I love that line.
Yes. Well, and in terms of prologues, it's really like a lot of times they're unpopular. A lot of times it's like, well, people tend to write prologues that are not necessary at all. But if you choose one, you want to choose one that sets a tone. And I think it's a good choice to have a nightmare be the tone setter for this book.
Yeah.
Um, and I also noticed that it's not a part, it's not labeled, it's not
Mhm.
prologue. It doesn't say before, it doesn't say fucking anything. And it is
Nope.
gives I think maybe that's intentional or not, but I think it adds a really interesting thing. It also means the very first words of the book that aren't like front stuff is maybe I always been broken and dark inside. Um
Mhm.
which I think, I mean, obviously, this is going to set the tones for the book. This is the theme, and I do think that's meant to like sort of juxtapose against the last sort of image of this book, which is no, we just unleashed this fully realized, fully self-actualized woman, and who's not
Yeah.
broken, who is healed. So I mean, it's kind of an obvious thing, but I think it's still satisfying.
And the darkness is different.
In the dark,
The
yes.
darkness
Oh,
she like embraces in a new way.
hmm,
Yeah.
yeah. There was yeah, like the stabbing yourself is a very classic thing, but you
Mhm.
definitely you I think you get a really good understanding of where her head's at from the prologue thing.
I thought that there could be an interesting foreshadow for how the series ends in this prologue.
Me too.
The lines between me and the queen had long since blurred.
Yes, I wrote setting up final books where she battles not to be the flip side of Amarantha.
I literally wrote into the series setup question mark.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also thought cuz there was something interesting about like because of what I think about maybe what Feyre is being set up to become. Because I kind of think that she's gonna be like. I think the reason that she had to get pregnant. Okay, I think either SJM had bad baby fever.
Maybe.
Because like that's sure. I mean
Mhm.
I think a lot of people don't have baby fever, like, and so they're
Yeah.
annoyed at it. But I
Mhm.
think if you've had baby fever, you like. I think it's not that weird. Well, and, yeah. Actually, someone was just posting a TikTok. Lindsay on Book Talk. Maybe I'll link her here. But she was talking about how like people hate this and it's kind of an interesting thing. But I was like, they should have added is, or we were sort of chatting in the comments. And I was like, they should have added a time jump because they're fucking eternal. And then
Mhm.
it's not, oh, we should travel the world. It's like we've lived for 10 years and had a good time, and now we're gonna
Yeah.
do it. But I feel like she's setting up to be like a mother or a second coming of the mother kind of figure.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I also kind of wondered if this was like okay, because the mother and the cauldron, they're the ones who like control everything, and the mother could definitely be like an evil god in some level, or like
Yeah.
a malicious type of god. We've seen that in Throne of Glass, where the gods are like you think they're helpful, and then they're like, fuck. But I don't know. I could see this image of like Feyre is the one to stab herself, quote herself, in
Mhm.
the final.
Yeah.
book, particularly because this is the start of the second book, but it's really the initial aftermath of the events of the first book. So it still has that kind of resonance, but
I think the thing that people get frustrated with the her having a baby is the near death experience of it all. Like, that's
yeah.
the pregnancy trope, that the pregnancy is what's going to kill her, kind of a thing. Now, I do think that she needed a reason for them to be, um, life bonded, to have that life bargain to where, like, you die, I die. Um,
They
but
already had that.
no. I
Yeah,
mean,
they make it at the end of, ACOMAF.
okay, but then they need to have some reason, I guess, another so yeah, so then it's like, okay, would we need another reason to worry about both of you dying? Now, it makes sense when, like, Lorcan and Alide do a life bond, because he's going to live forever and he's like, I'm going to tie my life to yours, and whatever you have left, I want to spend it, and I don't need to live after that. Like, that's it. It feels different. It feels much more like kind of honest, of, right, the fact that he's with a human. Um and even with, like, Kale and Irene, their life bargain makes sense too.
Well, theirs was kinda not optional. It was like, "You're either gonna die or we're gonna
Yeah.
do this." That one
Yeah.
I'm okay with.
Yeah.
I think
Um
recent favors is a little silly, although I
yeah.
I think it's a world walking bond.
Yes,
So,
and I'm wanting
you
to
know,
I want it to I'm hoping that it becomes of that thing where, like, if
yeah,
she gets sucked up into a portal, then he just ends up where she is, or vice versa, or whatever, that, like,
yes, yeah,
they can't, leave this world together, kind of a thing.
yeah,
Um and yeah, and then that's kind of how it's written, right? That they go into the next world together, which is fun.
yeah. Oh, it leaves it
And
wide
so I'm hoping that
open.
that's kind of what that is. Um, but yeah, I just kind of wish that I wish that she wasn't so. But then you're like, okay, but then Nesta has to do all of her shit and use all of her things, and there has to be this, like, moment where her and Feyre kind of bury the hatchet, and she says, "I love you" to her sister, and she's like, how do you create all of that without, I mean, you can still do it, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm hoping.
Well, and I also think someone was talking about, like, Nesta should have also been depressed for, like, 10 years because 'cause they're
Yeah.
fucking eternal.
Yeah.
But, like, and
Yeah. She's
then
got 6
you can
months and they're
definitely
over
want
her
be wanting
ass.
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Um Although she really could have avoided a lot of the problem if she just didn't have Feyre say, "I wanna take my time," and then immediately go like, if she just didn't say that and
Yeah.
instead said, "I've always wanted a kid,"
Yeah.
that's then it's fine. Then people would
Yeah.
be way less annoyed.
Yeah.
It makes Rhys look manipulative,
Yeah.
um, and
Yeah.
that's what I hate. So that's why I'm like, I'm hoping it's a lore reason that she's, like, some kind of mother figure or counter figure, and
Yeah.
that's why it has to be this way. Or that Nyx is, like, some kind of I kinda do hope there's a time jump before the end, and if Nyx maybe it's because Nyx is a major player, and we
Could
have to
be.
see him as, like, a 95-year-old, which is really a teenager, you know? And so, like,
Yeah.
then I can, like but I it yeah, otherwise it seems silly, but,
Yeah. Because yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that I kind of worry about is, like, so then what are they gonna be doing? Because now they literally have a baby at home. Like, no, I'm
for, like, 80 years.
well, and even if it wasn't 80 years, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. You just, I'm not trying to, like, let you in on the insight, but, like, there's a lot of things you can't do when you have kids.
Yeah.
Although I guess they
Yeah.
can hire
Well, and
help.
they're Fae, and they're rich, and,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They can nanny the shit out of Nyx.
got powers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um So, anyway,
Go
I
hang
just,
out with Uncle go hang out with Uncle Lucian for a little while. Um,
I was also thinking because she doesn't necessarily say okay, now it's interesting because she instead of describe now this could just be like, "Gotta tell the people what I look like again."
mhm.
Like one of the early, like, beginning of the book type of thing, but I thought it was interesting that she didn't say it was me. It was I knew the blue eyes, the brown gold
Mhm.
hair, that mouth, because when I read that, I was like, I wonder because I was already thinking, like, maybe this is set up for, like, end of the series, maybe, and I already kinda think, maybe she's gonna counteract or kill the mother, or become the next mother or whatever, but I was like, that could easily just be her ancestor, and she's seeing her in a dream, and, like, it's just someone who just looks like her, or I don't know. That could also be
I
insane.
think it is also Nesta foreshadowing coded.
Nesta does look like that.
Because
All those
Nesta
things
looks
could easily be Nesta.
and because like knew the ears that had now become delicately arched because Nesta also becomes Fae. And there's another moment in chapter 2 that is very foreshadow of Nesta's change.
Ooh, I haven't read.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because you read
Yeah, yeah.
ahead.
I did, I'm
Um,
sorry.
that's
So
okay.
yeah, because when I
But
was
yeah,
reading this at first, I was like, "Is this Nesta that she's seeing?" Because that'd be fucked up to have to like stab your sister. Then it was like, "Oh, my face," and I'm like, "Nah, that felt like Nesta for a minute." But yeah, because they look, it's opposite sides of the
you
same
start with
coin.
a description instead of just saying "I saw myself,"
Yeah.
which could be artistic. And I will say, okay, for it used to piss me off endlessly that when writers would like recap the previous book, and
Mhm.
then someone told me that they were just like their publisher was like, "You got to do this. I don't give a shit. We're doing this." And then I
Yeah.
was like, "Okay, I can forgive it because at least somebody made you do that, and you didn't
Yeah.
just think that I have zero brain cells."
Yeah.
Because it used to just piss me off. Like
Mhm.
as like an 11-year-old rereading Harry Potter, I was like, "Why are you telling me this? I just."
Yeah.
Maybe it's just the editor being like, "You got to tell them what she looks like," which I
Well,
guess
and
is
also because if you're reading it when they come out, it's been a year since you've read, so like a little.
you would reread. I'm just kidding.
I mean, we would reread, but
Yeah,
yes, a little dose of a previously on ACOTAR.
yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, I think I do like that this non-prologue prologue is short, that it starts off with
yep,
a nightmare, that there's some really interesting juxtaposition lines in here. The writing is kind of fun.
hmm
And I do like the possibility that this might be setting up the end of the series with that line about, the lines between her and Amarantha had been blurred.
oh yeah.
Um
That's funny. We had like almost the same note about it too. It's
yeah.
hilarious.
So yeah, okay, so part 1, House of Beasts.
House
I
of
have
Bees.
I have lots of thoughts for next chapter, so I just got to keep my brain together here because I've
Yeah.
had so much shit to talk, but I do have quite a bit for these what 4 pages. I do think that there is some Aelin reminiscent Aelin stuff here. Um
Oh.
so on the first page, which is page 5 actually, it says Tamlin hadn't stirred as I jolted awake. I got thoughts about that, but anyway, so he hadn't stirred as I jolted awake, and when I hadn't been able to tell the darkness of my chambers from the endless night of Amarantha's dungeon, when the cold sweat coating me felt like the blood of those fairies, I'd hurled for the bathroom, for the bathing room. And this reminds me of when Aelin says that when she wakes up after coming from Indivir, that if she wakes up in darkness, she thinks she's in like the solitary confinement of Indivir, and so she would like light a
Oh.
candle to like remind her that she's not there anymore. And so this like all-consuming darkness of being trapped in a dungeon, this like PTSD, this kind of fear of the dark,
Yeah.
felt a little. And I mean, it's just kind of makes sense that if you're
Yeah.
trapped in a dark place that you would have that. But it did kind of have that sort of residual Aelin vibe for me.
Interesting. Yeah, I actually I have to just be myself. The first line I said vomit. That was my one note. But I'm just kidding. That is what I don't know why I take notes like that, but I just it's very interesting that we start with like this very intense disgusting bodily reaction.
Hmm.
Um and it's I mean, I just feel like a lot of this book is about Feyre's like, healing, but also like her kind of feeling, her presence in I don't know, like it's like her body's trying to be like, "This is not the right one."
Yeah,
Like it
yeah,
just
for
feels like
sure.
we're waking on such deep discomfort. Because also
Yeah,
I am like afraid of throwing up, so I'm like, this is the worst thing ever imaginable. And she's
yeah.
doing it every single night. Um, but also she's barfing. Moonlight leaked into the
Yep.
massive marble
Mhm,
bathroom,
mhm.
providing the only illumination as I was quietly, thoroughly sick. And I'm like, the only light is from the night,
Well,
and hey
and
yeah.
then the next line,
Mm.
night is what is soothing her.
Yes.
right? The moonlight is what's illuminating. It's clearing up the darkness. It's not making her scared, right? Because she's like
Yeah.
trapped in this never ending darkness. So the moonlight is shining in. And then on the next page, right? It's just like,
Yes.
I could see the night sky where the breeze could caress my sticky face, right? And like, so like night is what's soothing her through this, not Tamlin.
Not Tamlin at all.
Because that motherfucker doesn't stir. He doesn't wake up. He doesn't say
Yeah.
nothing. He might hiss, but he don't say shit.
Hiss. Did he hiss in this?
Maybe in the next chapter,
Oh,
or
no,
his
yeah.
breath
Okay.
catches or something, but he doesn't.
Yes, that's what she says. Yeah. Okay, do we think he's sleeping?
No,
Do you think he's
he's.
always waking up, or do you think he sometimes wakes up but wants to let her, like, I mean, I guess we can't know at all.
I think that because I wrote questions, I wrote lots of questions because
You
I
got
wrote
Faye
is.
hearing.
I said right. I said, is he ignoring her, avoiding, afraid to talk, waiting for her? Like, what's going on here? And then in chapter 2, he tells her, "I need you to be okay. I need you to be all right." So I think he's avoiding it altogether. He's like, I just need her to be all right. She'll get there. She'll get it together. We'll move past, because he's always like, we'll be married and it'll be fine. This can all be over. We can all just move on. We can all just forget it ever happened. And I think that that's his coping mechanism, because he doesn't talk about his shit either. And I think he's
Yeah.
just like, it's fine. We'll go to the next thing. He's the like, the baby will fix the marriage. He's that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think he's waking up, but he's like, I need her to just be okay. So I'll just wait till she's okay. I'm just gonna pretend like, okay, she's throwing up, she's handling it, she's working on herself. Like she got it covered. And
Mhm.
and he might be nervous about it, but I think that he's scared and that he just needs her to be okay. But that's unfair to her.
Mhm.
That he
Yeah.
won't help her through that. He's just like, I need you to be all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, and I do think he is just also very emotionally stunted,
Mhm.
like the where she says on page 8, on the last page of the chapter, I knew similar dreams chased him from his slumber as often as I fled from mine. The first time it happened, I'd awoken, tried to speak to him, but he'd shaken off my touch, his skin clammy, and had shifted into the beast of fur and claws and horns and fang. He spent the rest of the night sprawled across the foot of the bed, monitoring the door, the wall of windows.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm just like, you know, he cannot be vulnerable for even a second. He can't even just be like in the middle of the night, just be like, "Oh, I just had a bad dream." Like that's such a normal
Yeah.
thing that it's like subconscious. It's not like too sad and that's embarrassing that I can't get a grip. It's like you have involuntary
Yeah.
nightmares,
Yeah.
and you're so like he just can't. He switches species so he doesn't have to talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
and
Or
I'm
that he
just
doesn't have to
like,
feel it. Yeah. I have nightmares all the
yeah.
time, right? It happens.
And it's not like, "Oh, that's embarrassing." Like, I
No,
don't even
my
know
first
why
I
people are,
wake
like,
that fool up.
embarrassed.
I wake Topher
Yeah,
up, I have a nightmare. I'm like, "Hey, give me a hug." Tell like,
yeah,
just make me
yeah.
feel safe for a minute, and none of that's happening here.
Yeah, and it's just like he probably did have to have some fucking terrible parents to be that afraid of any little bit of vulnerability.
Yeah.
Doesn't use any behavior, but it is interesting that, like, he is viscerally reacting to any slight vulnerability.
Wonder if it's, like, really in a exaggerated military stereotype coded, where he's just like,
Probably.
"He's a warrior."
Sounds like his dad's had seems like he would be like that.
Yeah, like, "You're a warrior, you don't feel anything, you don't nothing bothers you," like,
Yeah.
court before all things kind of a thing.
Well, and also, like, if his parents were always, like, not he said they're not good for each other, like, that will just they can't ever be vulnerable with each other because if they
Yes, so you
can't
didn't
stand each
learn that,
other,
yeah.
then
He never
they
learned
don't,
what he never saw what that looks
yeah,
like, yeah.
yeah,
That this is what
um,
a healthy relationship looks like to Tamlin.
yes, because why are they together? Probably for aesthetics, and
Yeah,
that is gonna be my number one thing.
uh-huh,
Everything we see of Tamlin is all even that line you were mentioning that is from chapter 2 we haven't read yet,
yeah,
or I haven't read yet, or I haven't reread yet,
yeah.
um that is I need you to be better. I need it's like he doesn't
It's
really
all
care about
optics.
he's like, "I just kinda
Yep,
wanna know you pretend you're better,"
yeah,
you know?
it's
It's
all
really
optics,
all
it's all propaganda, it's all, like, this sends a message, you need to wear this, you need to look like this, you can't have this, you can't wear pants because then they're gonna think that you're fighting. And you're
and
like,
that is probably how he was raised, that's what, like,
yeah,
why are they together? Because that's a united
yeah,
front, and that's how they keep power, and that
yeah,
will fuck you up.
yeah.
She
My
doesn't
mom
ex
was a trad wife, you'll be a trad wife, you'll love it, they'll call you the lady.
Yeah.
Not high lady. Don't get it confused.
Oh, lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I also noticed with the line about the night sky. I feel
Mhm.
like the word caress. Now I could be wrong. I just feel like it's I remember specifically several times where it's like used with Rhys, and I don't want to say it's
Mhm.
only used with Rhys, but I feel like the most significant memories I have in Akatar of that word is with Rhys. It's specifically when she sees him at the manor and he's like, "You hid her from my
Yeah.
glamour." That talks about a caress, and then
Mhm.
also when she's in his room and cleaning the ashes and the lentils, there's also caress there, and I feel like that's the only time I've ever seen that word
Yeah.
in this book. I could be wrong
Doesn't
though.
it say that like the talons caressed her mind?
Yeah, she is always just talking about every single thing to do with him is very sensual, and I
Yeah.
just couldn't help because I was already thinking it was Reese, and then it was like
Yeah.
caress my sticky face.
I love that we already have Rhys Feyre banter in this chapter.
Talking about the eye.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my next note. It's like, so I tilted my left hand over the whorls, the word marks, of dark ink coating my fingers, my wrist, my forearm, all the way up to my elbow, soaking up the darkness of the room. The eye etched into the center of my palm seemed to watch me, calm and cunning as a cat, its slitted pupils wider than it had been earlier that day. And then she like scowls at it later and like closes her hand.
Yeah,
And I'm like, aw, they're already like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Audio listeners, she stuck her tongue out
Oh
at
yeah,
my
sorry.
mom.
Yeah, yeah.
And
She's
by
already
audio listeners, I mean every listener.
yeah. She's already like, like,
Yeah,
fuck
that's
off,
funny.
Rhys. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're gonna
I wonder.
say.
So, do we think he's actually looking? Because he doesn't ever talk about. And then I watched you do this, but it just gives the impression that like, is it him like with a little telescope?
Kinda. I mean, he says like, I can't control what you scream down the bond. So like maybe
But I
that's
always thought
her.
those were thoughts,
Yeah,
not
but
like you know.
I mean, maybe it's a little bit like maybe hit like maybe when he's hearing her thoughts, he's like getting images with it as well. Like he's like seeing through her eyes.
Just seeing like,
Or he could be
what
seeing,
is that? Oh, she's grabbing Tamlin's hair, and as he's fucking, like
yeah. He's like, come on, you gotta use that hand? Come on. You're just like just Tamlin's.
Can
Yeah,
you imagine?
yeah,
And she's just like, I'll just put my hand up here and just torture you.
yeah, yeah. She's like, hold on, let me give you a handy with the tattooed eye.
Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's more of like a vibes thing and not really like an actual like I can see you.
Yeah,
I don't know,
but
but I feel like you never get any more about it. But the eye disappears
yeah, at the end of
when
the book,
Hybrid breaks.
yeah, he breaks it. But also, I love that this like calm and cunning as a cat. Like, yeah, it's like a little bit of like the cunningness of Reese too, but like there's a calm to it. He's not
Yes.
afraid. He like the eye is not afraid of what it's seeing. It's not stressing
Mhm.
out about her.
And
He's
she
just
perceives it like she perceives it as
yeah.
like a nice,
He's just like
at least.
I like yeah, it's like an I see you, I'm here. It's could you imagine if it blinked 4 times? I would lose my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like winking at her 4 times. I'd be like, "Oh my god. Oh my god." Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Um
Um
and then, I do think it's interesting that she is like kind of even struggling. This is I I mean, I think it's bad right now, but I think it's not even yet. Like, it's gonna get worse and worse, but she's
mhm,
already, like, struggling to perceive reality,
mhm.
And, that's one hell of a first chapter tone setter.
Well, and she's not talking to anybody, right? Like I hadn't heard from Rhys in the 3 months I'd been here, not a whisper. I hadn't dared ask Tamlin or Lucian or anyone.
Oh, I assume she is talking to Tamlin Illusion, but just
Well,
more than, like, a casual
sure.
way, but, yeah, not really having deep conversations
Yeah, and they're
anymore.
not having really deep thoughts. She's
And
not telling them anything that she's worried about. She's not bringing and here's the thing, it also seems like, she says like I hadn't dared ask Tamlin or Lucian or anyone lest I'd somehow summon the High Lord of the Night Court, somehow remind him of the fool's bargain I'd struck, right? It's kind of like I didn't even want to say his name because it's gonna have like the
mhm.
Voldemort, like he's
There's
just
not
gonna
enough wood to knock on.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
But it also kind of feels like I don't want to start a fight
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
because like Tamlin's volatile. Everyone's walking on eggshells. I make that in here. I make a comment in this too. It's actually the first page of of chapter 2. But like, even Lucian is like, don't do it. Like, don't say like,
Yeah.
let it go. And like, what? Like, the lines of communication are so cut off between all of these people. They're not
Mhm.
talking about anything real. And they're, it's like, I just need you to be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. We'll be married. It'll be over. Don't
Yeah.
mention Rhys. If he doesn't come, great. The longer we can just not talk about it, the better. And you're like, that's not how people heal.
Yeah. I will also say, like, you would think that she would talk to Lucian. Like, I just get the impression that Lucian is more like, but is he also like stiff like Tamlin? Like, let's not talk about it, or do they just? I don't know.
I
You think she would?
I think Lucian is the peacekeeper.
Hmm.
I think he's like the kid who doesn't want mommy and daddy to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, just like, don't push it. Let it go. And I think that he's like just trying to manage Tamlin.
But you don't think that like that kind of peacekeeper would then go find Feyre in the painting or not painting, or she
They
could go
do.
find it and say, "Hey, bud, you want to chat about it?" Like that's what the peacekeeper does. I am the peacekeeper.
They do.
But like
And he
I feel like
does. He does.
yeah,
I think in
does he?
chapter 3 he does. Yeah. They have a little
Okay,
moment later on.
and maybe they are doing that, but it just yeah makes it seem
But
like she's all alone, and she
yeah,
is, but she's you know
but I think it also establishes that like her and Lucian may be friends, but his loyalty is to Tamlin.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
And so that there's like kind of a
she
fine
definitely couldn't
line.
bring that up with him. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a fine line between where they walk, which we know definitely comes to play in the third book, that like their relationship is something that like Tamlin is very aware of. Um and so I think that like Lucian is definitely walking a fine line with like, I can't be too close to her because then we'll talk about real stuff and Tamlin's not ready for that. Or like, I have a job to do and I've been friends with him longer
Mhm.
and all the things. But then also, I think there's a little bit of like, I think that, he's already been like kind of warned to back off, right? That like when he got too close and too flirty, like Tamlin was like back off, dude, like, and so I think Lucian is very aware of like Tamlin's insecurities.
No, definitely.
Yeah, he's also spent 50 years with him just not doing shit about Amarantha, so he's probably like, just let it go, he's not going to do anything, so like just move on, Feyre.
That's funny. Um, I do think it's funny. She goes, Rhys forgot, but I couldn't. And I know it's just
Hmm.
because she sees the tattoo and that's all she's really talking about. But it does gives the impression of like, she's kind of hoping.
Yeah.
She's kind of like subconsciously like, come on, Rhys.
Well, and she's already kind of negotiating with how she feels about Rhys. Right? Because she's like, but even
Yeah.
if Rhys had miraculously forgotten, I would never, nor could Tamlin or Lucian or anyone else, not with the tattoo. Even if Rhys, at the end, even if he hadn't been exactly an enemy, like she's already kind of like a little
Hmm.
conflicted about how she feels about him and how the rest of the world feels about him. There's already
Yeah.
like a conflict there.
Everybody else, he's an enemy, but he's not my enemy.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Yeah,
which
because like,
also means she's kind of separating herself from Tamlin and that court. Because like, what do you mean? You're Tamlin's. You're saying my husband's friend or my fiance's friend enemy isn't necessarily my enemy.
yeah,
That's a kind of a
yeah,
crazy thing to say,
yep, yeah,
you know?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I hadn't felt like Rhysand's enemy the last time I'd spoken to him in the hours after Amarantha's death. I told no one about that meeting, what he'd said to me, what I'd confessed to him, and I said already a loyalty is built to him.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and it's the only vulnerability she's got in 3 months.
Yeah.
And so that's yeah, it's interesting.
There is a line in here that I almost want to like I'm really glad that this relationship doesn't work because this is the perfect example of how SJM writes good abusive relationships.
Hmm.
Because at the bottom of page 7, right, For him, I had done this for him. I'd gladly wreck myself and my immortal soul, and now I had an eternity to live with it. And I said, love shouldn't cost you your soul. And
Yeah.
like that's like kind of what you say, like, battered peoples, right? You're like, love
Mhm.
doesn't hurt you, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
hit you, it doesn't, whatever. And I think that this is one of those moments where, like, if this was the guy at the end of the series, it would have been like, what? Like, we're gonna glorify that you are supposed to shatter your immortal soul for love? Like, no, that's not what that is. And I kind of love that she's in this place that's kind of like, I did this for him and I would do it again, and I broke myself and I blah blah blah. And like, when you're in an abusive relationship, that feels justified.
Mhm.
And then when you get out of that, you start to realize, like, oh, that's not how love's supposed to feel.
Yeah. Yeah,
And so I
it's
think that there's something that's just kind of honest about the writing of this abusive relationship that has those, like, very sort of real world feelings to it.
mhm. Yeah, and it's like she kind of mentions it in the prologue thing, I think. Like she's like, you know, this I think that's really like the whole book is like about a duality, Rhys versus Tamlin,
Yeah.
spring versus night, the stereotypes and like what you understood as good not being that good and like,
Yeah.
because like in Akatar she essentially isn't going to save Prithian. She's going to save Tamlin and
Yeah.
she by default saves Prithian and then she's like, she's setting up that duality of like, you know,
Yeah, it was the
oh
slaughterer of
yeah,
innocence and the saver of a land or whatever.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
and, to free them all, to free Tamlin, I would do it, and yeah. So, there's a lot of, like, setting up like this, like, I'm not sure if I it's worth it, but it just you get the impression that, she's like, I feel bad that I don't think it was worth it. Or maybe I think because it's like you're like saying, okay, so you wanted all those people to be imprisoned by Amarantha and tortured forever. Like, no, she knows like it's a good thing, but and also it's kind of crazy that she was willing to give up herself
Yeah.
for Tamlin, because
Yeah.
she went to go save Tamlin for love. What she ended up doing was saving a country. And so she doesn't want to regret that, but she kind of regrets like
Yeah.
jumping full force into it. And then
Well,
it's like that would leave you feeling weird about the person you did that for because you're like, I got this crazy short
well,
stick, but like also I don't regret it because I saved a bunch of people. And it's like a weird confliction.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the place where healing has to begin, where you have to say something like, I regret what I did, but I don't regret the outcome. Like, I would
Yeah.
still do it again because of those people, blah, blah, blah. And right now, it's just the justification because that's all she can do because she can't talk to anybody. She can't get around the problem in a new way
Mhm.
that says, like, yes, that, like, it can be two things at the same time. You can regret something and also know that you needed to, that you needed to do it, or you can they can haunt your nightmares, right? And know that this was a horrible, horrible thing that happened to you, and at the same time be grateful that people are free because of those
Yeah.
actions. But she can't get
Th-
there. So right now it's just a
yeah.
very simple, like, I ruined
It's so
myself and it was for
terrible.
him and it's fine, and I will just ruin my
Mhm.
soul and it's just me that was ruined, and it's, I'll be, maybe I'll heal, maybe I won't. It's whatever. This is just my life now and fuck it.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
she can't put those two things together as it being like, this can just be two truths.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, as a 19-year-old, it's fucking hard to hold that. We always
Yeah.
joke about Feyre being stupid 19-year-old, but she's also like, her brain don't work. I mean, okay, we're putting human constraints onto this, but we're just
I
going to do
think
that
so.
because it's written for humans.
Yeah.
But, her brain doesn't work at 19 properly. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
she can't, it's really hard to learn that two things can be true.
Yeah.
I feel like it takes
Yeah.
most of, I mean, unless
What
depending on how
is
you grow up, I feel like that's what you spend. That's the kind of thing you learn your whole 20s. And then at 30, you're like, "Oh, I wasted a fuck ton of time." But she's like 19. Yeah, two things can be true. That's a really hard concept to learn, especially for a fucking teenager.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Yep.
just someone who hasn't had a lot of life experience. I mean,
Yeah.
she has, but she hasn't. Not like she's had like a rough life, but not like with dealing, survival is different than emotional turmoil, I
Yeah,
think.
for sure.
And this is
Well,
her
yeah, I mean, like, the
survival.
worst thing that she's done in her life was kill a rabbit.
Yeah, or the
A
wolf.
and a wolf,
And then
and a
then the
wolf,
wolf. Yeah.
and then the wolf.
Rabbit, wolf. 3 Fae,
Cool. Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
last being her fiance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I made a note that this is they are so distant from each other already. Just body language even, right? So the top of page 8. I continued to the
Yes.
bed, each step heavier, harder. The sheets were now cool and dry. I slipped in, curling my back to him, wrapping
Yeah.
my arms around myself.
That is such a choice, wrapping my arms around myself,
Yep.
and also curling my back to him really means, like, you're in a fetus away from him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
She
that's not a good sign.
That's not a good sign. That is as far away as she can get from him. Yeah.
Yeah, and it
His
it it gives the impression that she's, like, curled up in a fetal position, and that's just speaks to unwellness to
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Well, and this also is so cruel. Like, um, his breathing was deep, even, but with my Fey ears, sometimes I wondered if I heard his breath catch, only for a heartbeat. I never had the nerve to ask him if he was awake. And one, he should, if he's awake, he should be acknowledging her. That's fucked up. And also the fact that she's like, is he awake? I am afraid to see if he's awake.
Yeah, well, because I think it would I think if she had, we might not have this book, like, because I think, that this would be like a, "Rhys, come get me,"
Yeah.
because I feel like you mean, "What do you mean you've been ignoring me?" Like, I feel like
Well,
she yeah, it's like you don't wanna know because you don't wanna admit how bad things are.
that
Um,
or worse than that, she doesn't want to talk to him because she's afraid of what his reaction will be when she says things like, "I'm having nightmares."
mhm,
And he says
yeah.
things like, "Get over it.
Yeah,
Don't let her control your dreams. You did what you had to do. It's fine." Like all the
yeah.
dismissive things that he could possibly say, like I could imagine being like, I don't have the nerve to figure out if he's awake because he's not going to say anything that's going to help me."
Yeah, which also does, to be fair, she is also afraid to be vulnerable with him. And it's
Sure.
not like necessarily that he's the only cause. Like I'm sure she has some walls up, maybe because
Absolutely.
he's not her mate, or maybe because she inherently doesn't trust him, maybe because he's starting it with the putting up walls. But either way, it's not like Tamlin's the only one. She is also like she doesn't want to know.
But
And that things are easier with Tamlin when she doesn't dig
I
too deep.
also think that this is the beginning of her being angry because
I think so too.
I think she keeps saying things like, "I ruined myself for him and he's not gonna check on me." Granted, you
It's
gotta
like
use your words, babe. He's not a mind reader. He is in fact not Rhys.
could
But
be asleep on some level, but I think if she's thinking that, he's probably
but it is also those like, "How was I supposed to know that you were upset if you don't tell me?" Like, I totally understand that. Like, she
yeah,
doesn't say anything. He can't just,
yeah,
like, he cannot read her mind.
yeah,
And so, and like that's like those are like typical married people arguments where you're like, if you don't tell me what's wrong, I can't help or whatever. But at the
yeah,
same time, it's kind of like she keeps saying over and over again, I did this for him. I did this for him. I shattered my soul. I'm going to live like this forever. And he doesn't even ask. And
yeah, and also, like
it does come off where he's more in the wrong than she is.
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. It seems like
And
she's
she does when
confused.
he has his nightmares, she tries to soothe him and he pushes her off. And I
Yeah,
think that that's if
and
we
then
didn't
she's
get
like, "I won't do that again."
yeah, and so I think that that's where we're at. Like if that scene wasn't in here and we didn't know that, or if she was like he had his nightmares and minded my own business and pretended to be asleep, then we'd be like, "Oh, they're both
Then
fucked
it's
up."
equal yeah,
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 but that's not what happened. She tried to comfort him and like batted her hand away.
yeah, and to be fair, I don't think that even I don't think he meant to be, like, evil guy, but it definitely speaks to, like, he is the
But
one who's
but
really pinning this down.
well,
Yeah.
and I think that that's why Tamlin is like Umbridge to me, right? Voldemort is the big baddie. He's
Mm,
evil, he's all bad, there's nothing good, which is a problem in and of itself. Like not everybody's all bad, but he's right, that's Valg level. That's all
mhm,
evil, that's Maeve, that's all the big things.
yeah,
Umbridge is in my opinion the worst evil of those books because she's a true evil, meaning she's the evil that exists in the real world. She's the
mm,
follow alonger. She's the one who keeps perpetuating the cycle. She's the one who keeps people
mhm,
in in the positions that they're in. She's the one who keeps putting the person who like keeps the power structures the way that they are. It keeps people down, right?
mhm.
She's that's and that exists in right, Voldemort doesn't exist in this world, but we have a million Umbridges, right? Umbridges are the people who keep it going, right? That
Yes.
that whatever.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's where Tamlin is at, right? We have big baddies. Amarantha, big baddie. The problem is that's fine. She can just be evil and we can just not like her, but Tamlin is the realistic bad,
Mhm.
right? He's the abusive bad. He's the one that we're like, you could do better, right? Amarantha, if she's all bad and all evil, she can't do better. We've
Yeah.
just we've just assigned
Tamlin is a
evil.
loss.
Yeah, we've just assigned default evil. There's no coming back. She needs to die. Easy peasy. But
Yeah.
Tamlin can do better and he doesn't. And I think that that's why there's so much more hatred for Tamlin than people like Amarantha or Hybern, because they're kind of one-dimensional evil
Mhm.
where Tamlin isn't, and he's making these choices to be cold and being callous and being standoffish and being inept and being insecure and being volatile and throwing tantrums. And that's not like that's a bigger crime almost than just being like, well, they're just evil.
Yeah. I know part of me doesn't like any series where we just have pure evil characters because I feel like
Yeah.
that's also not really realistic. But
Yeah.
like, who cares?
Yeah.
That's just me being stupid.
Well, and we get a little bit of the why for Amarantha, so she's not just default evil, but like,
True.
but I mean Valg is just kind of default evil, and that's problematic because they end up being kind of like a okay, they're just bad. Um,
Yeah. Oh,
but
also in this chapter, I just want to flag. I think the immortal strength is that Tamlin because she thinks it's just a Fae thing, but she's much stronger and faster than she should be than most
Mhm.
Fae are, right? So
I don't
that's
think it's I think it's faster or stronger than most Fae. I think she's just way faster and stronger than she was as a human.
no. I think later they say that maybe I'm misremembering, but I thought like Lucian tells her like, no, you're this isn't normal strong for a Fae. You're clear like when they're talking about her showing her powers and her signs. I thought he's saying like, no, this isn't normal. You're most Fae aren't this kind of strong.
I don't remember
But
that, but I'm here for it.
okay,
Could be
but
because she
anyway, we
has
see the
the
first
power of
inklings of that.
yeah, yeah,
She's
yeah.
talking about how she, because also, you'd think if the door is built for Fae, then she wouldn't be able to break it by slamming it because Fae go
Yeah.
through it all the time.
Yeah. That or
So
she's yeah, I mean, she's slamming it way too hard by
maybe
accident.
they are Fae walking around being like, and shut this carefully. They're probably just like sometimes they
Yeah.
slam a door when they get angry, but
Yeah.
usually doesn't break off the hinges. You know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or whatever she said. But I just wanted to note that there's that little section on page 6 where she talks about this strength and how she's
Mhm.
fucking up the house from
Yeah.
expanding her body. Or yeah, maybe it's just because she just jumped into this body instead of being born in one. So I guess
I
that's
wanna know where this 800-year-old vase came from, though.
yeah,
Whose vase was that?
300 years before the war.
Uh-huh.
I hope humans did not make it.
Mm. Mhm. So, I did write, and I said this earlier, but, like, if he knew or heard, he said nothing about it, and I did have questions about that, right? Is he ignoring her? Is he avoiding? Is he afraid to talk to her? Is he waiting for
Hmm.
her? Like, what's kinda happening? But I think a lot of it is just avoidance, because then
Yeah.
later on it says, right, it had become our unspoken agreement not to let Amarantha win by acknowledging that she still tormented us in our dreams or waking hour. And I think that's how Tamlin deals with a lot of his problems. It's how he dealt with
Yeah.
the whole first book, was just like, well, if I don't acknowledge it, then she doesn't have power. If I don't acknowledge it, then it's not here. It all goes away. It'll be fine. This
And
too
instead of
shall
learning,
pass.
he
Like,
just keeps doing
and
it.
he even says that kind of in the first book, like, it'll be over. It'll end at some point. It's fine. Like, don't worry about it. The blight can't last forever. And like, that's just kind of how he deals with it, is like which sounds in a very sort of on the surface level, you're like, this too shall pass, right? Like, that is something that is helpful to know.
Sounds
Like,
nice,
it does sound nice until you
but
realize, like, no, I gotta work through
yeah.
this trauma. Like, the trauma
Yeah.
doesn't actually go anywhere. It just makes you throw up every night and have nightmares if you don't actually deal with it.
Hmm.
And it could be, I mean, I like the idea of this being sort of a generational trauma problem too, that it's not
Yeah.
just this Amarantha issue, but the relationship sort of dynamics of them is like, Feyre doesn't have anything to go on, right? She saw her mom only dote on her dad and then she died, right? It's like, so that's all she knows, is that you're supposed to like, oh, my husband, my husband, my husband, my husband, and then treat your kids like shit. And Tamlin saw the like, suck it up, be a man, and saw whatever relationship his parents had, which was probably very like, this is how we need to present everything means something. as opposed to real honest relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also think it's like kind of it's funny because like I feel like even the dumbest like bros in our world would be like, "What's up, babe? Oh, barfing again, crazy."
Yeah, right.
Like even they just acknowledge it and be like,
Yeah,
"That
something.
sucks, man." You
Like,
know, like
you want
it's
some
for
water? I mean,
yeah,
at least, right, in the next one, and, like, he could at least be like, "You wanna fuck?" Because that's kinda what they do in chapter 2. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna
yeah.
talk? No, I'm just gonna, like, sex you into submission."
I also think it's interesting that when she craves warmth, she does not also go to Tamlin. She pulls the blanket up,
Yep,
turning
yep.
into inanimate objects.
Yeah, she has a giant fur ball laying next to her that's gotta be a fucking furnace. She could definitely curl into
Yeah,
him and cuddle up with him, and she's like, "Nope, it's cool, I'll
she's
just grab
like,
this
I'm
blankie."
good. Yeah. Um and yeah, I think at the end of chapter 1 we get our setup for the book is that she thinks that she's unfixable and feel like that's really this book is all about the emotional turmoil and the conflicting and feeling unhappy but
Well,
like trapped
and
in it.
and trapped in a way that she feels like it's not even worth acknowledging. It's not
Yes.
even worth trying to explain how I feel right now. That's how worthless she feels that, like, it's not even worth explain like, and she literally says, "It's easier to not have to explain anyways, to not to have to tell him that though I'd freed him, saved his people, and all of Printheon from Amarantha, I'd broken myself apart." That's a big thing, right? It was easier to not have to explain I'd broken myself apart.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
that should not be a sentence.
it
I
should
have an
not.
arrow that said to a note that says, "Not healthy, babe."
Not
Um,
healthy. Yeah.
not that's not healthy. I have so many thoughts for the next chapter. I'm very, very, very excited for next
But
week. I have so many thoughts.
I think I have some thoughts. I mean, I have lots of taps. This is long. It goes to like.
It's a long
So
chapter.
let me think. This has got to be what planning the wedding with the Anthe and the little
Mhm.
party.
Yep. There's no
Oh,
party. There's no
oh, the
party.
party's maybe in chapter
The
3.
party's later. This is just pretty much planning the wedding. We get lots of internal sort of discussion. We get lots of information about Ianthe, and I have some
Mm,
thoughts. I have some very, very witchy thoughts.
yep.
And then we get a sex scene with Tamlin that is much more shh, it'll be okay, than like a real intimate scene.
Yeah, and we get the high lady conversation at the end of chapter 2.
Yeah, where he fucks her into submission. Yeah. hmm
Mhm.
hmm
Um, fuck, sorry, just
Literally. She's like trying to talk to him, and she's like, "Oh my god, his fingers. Would you like?" Almost kind of telling him to stop. Like, I'm trying to get something out here, and
he's like, yeah,
you're making me brain dead right now.
pretty
With
sure you're not.
yeah, and he's just like,
Pretty sure who cares?
"Shut up! I'm gonna go down on you right now. I don't want to talk. Thanks."
Yeah.
Also, she's really avoidant of their culture, and in a way that is completely opposite from the first book, where she's like kind of interested and she wants to know and she wants to go and she wants to see and she has all these
Mhm.
questions. The next chapter she's like, I don't know, there was winter solstice and they said something, or that's what was rumored, I don't know, don't really care. Like, she's uninterested in
Mhm.
the Fey world, Fey culture, and she's Fey now. And so she, and she's even like, "Oh, your people," and Ianthe is like, "Our people. We've talked about this," and she's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, fine." And like, she hates everything. She's like, "I don't
Yeah.
want a wedding plan. I don't want to pick out wreaths and garlands. I fucking hate that dress. Like, this is ridiculous." And also, Tamlin hates the dress too and thinks it's ridiculous, but he sided with her.
It's because it's what the people will expect her
Yep.
to wear.
But I want us to pay attention to what Ianthe is wearing next chapter,
Yeah. Okay.
because
Okay.
it is oh, it's so interesting. It's so interesting.
Okay. Cool. So yeah,
Yeah.
next chapter we'll do episode. Sorry, chapter 2
Yeah.
of Miss and Fury. Wow.
All right. Well, to the stars who listen, we'll see you next week.
See you next week.